Okay. Operation of pumps and filters and separators. Give the requirements to operate maintaining petroleum pumps, filters, and fuels, environmental, personnel, and materials required to perform the task. All personnel is 50 gallon per million GPMs or 100 GPMs, 50 gallons per million, 220 EPMs or 350 GPM pumps, filter separators, fuel source, fire extinguishers, rags, spill containers, risk management procedures, appropriate material safety dash sheets, hazardous material information sheets, facility response plan, a specific spill control countermeasure plan, SPCC, spill prevention control countermeasures, and the unit hazard waste and hazardous waste material HW&HM management policy on unit standing of the standing operating procedure, oral written operations or operations of order OPORDs or personal protection equipment PPEs and such as goggles, gloves, and hearing protection. Remember boots, DA Form 2404 equipment inspection worksheet, DA Form 598AAE equipment inspection maintenance worksheet EGA, full access to the reference materials, perform operators preventive maintenance checks, services, and dispatch equipment in place. Operate, give the petroleum pumps the filter separates, completing of the performance measures without injury, personal damage to the environment. Danger to perform the task currently made. Performance steps. Danger. The failure to perform the task correctly may result in damage to equipment or death, injury or death to personnel. Note, in this task, with any of the tasks involving extensive handling of the petroleum products, make sure that the equipment is on hand containing the cleanup the spills upon inspecting and position of the equipment for the convenient access before being to the task. Review the requirements performing the task and ensure that drip pans and wasteful containers are the appropriate size size to contain the waste generated by the task. Use drip pans at any point of the slip that is likely to occur, such as knot valves or nozzles. The spill is likely to occur. Continually observe the equipment and take the care to perform the task. Minimize the possibility of petroleum steps and spills occur. Immediately stop operation. Take steps and contain and clean up the spill. For all immediate spills to the immediate supervisors. Apply the risk management procedure, understanding the executing risk management process, risk control command guidance directed by the higher headquarters, access availability of the hazards, continuous report risk and risk reduction measurements appropriate of the chain of command, employee environmental stewardship program protection program measures according to task 101 92F 1513. Read understand unit installation standing operating procedures ORDs requirements for requisition, storing, handling, or disposition of hazardous materials. 4. Where appropriate protective equipment as are required. Gloves, hearing protection, goggles needed to be worn to perform any of the following operations. Perform the before operations of the PCMS at 50, 122, and 350 gallons per million pumps, filters, separators. Perform operations of the performance check services of the 50 gallons per million pumps according to 10 TM 104930236313 MP using the following procedures. Check the discharge nozzle for the height of the connection for the proper valve operation of the discharge hoses for the leaks of the collapsed wall. Check oil level check the fuel strainer for obstruction and serviceability. Fuel tank for the fuel insecure mounting and leaks. Check for the starting of the rope or for fraying damage. Check the air conditioner. Check the air cleaner. Check the suction hose for the leads of the collapsed walls. And note the DA Form 2404, DA Form 598AE, and any deficiency that found in the cannot be fixed. The operator notified the supervisor if and system is found to be non-mission capable. Perform before operations. Perform maintenance check services of the 50 gallon per million filter separator according to the TM54330232212P 12 and P. Checking the differential pressure gauge for the secure mounting, loose connections, and damage. Check the tube assembly for the kinks and breaks and loosening fittings. Check the sight gauge for the crack gauge of the body. Check the mounting screws as are tight. Check the press for the vent valve. Press the valve to check operation. Check the drain valve to ensure the handle is closed. Anoint the DA Form 2404, DA Form 598A, and any deficiency that can be found on the repair operator. Inform the supervisor if the system has been found and non-mission capable. performed before operations of preventive maintenance check services of the 100 gallon per million pumping according to the TM 104320311014 TM 140. TM 104930222912 NP. Inspection fuel tank of the inspection mounting of the device strap. Replenish the fuel supply as required. Check the gasoline for the hope and the damaged loose fittings and from the engine fuel tank with the carburetor. Inspecting the coupling valve with the loose and missing gaskets, corroded and stuck valve with the stem and cracked from the missing parts, removing the replace the defective gaskets. Check the pump for leaks. Check the clean fuel inlet strainer as required. Check the oil label and a gear housing and oil as required before performing operations. Preventive maintenance check services on a 100 gallons per million filter separator according to the TM 433021712. Inspect the filter separator for the dense evidence of leaks. Inspect the cover for the clamp, the skirt cover, cover. Inspect the cover and the O-ring for damage. Inspect the frame for the dents and cracked welds. Inspect the vent valve operation for the replaced if it defect. Inspect the drain valve operation. Check for the evidence of leaks. Inspect for the dust caps and dust plugs for burns, cracks, breaks, or loose fits. And inspect the sight glass for leaks, cracks, and breaks. 9. Ensure that the filter separator is grounded. The grounded rod should be 2 to 3 feet in the ground, approximately 4 feet from the filter separator, clipping the ground wire to the ground rod and to the bare metal at our area on the filter separator. And note that the DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E, any deficiency found that cannot be repaired by the operator, inform the supervisor that the system is to be not mission capable. E. Performance operations, preventive maintenance check services on 220 gallons per million. Pumping according to the TM 104320-35114. Check engine crankcase oil level on the dipstick. Oil is correct level when between and up the lever marks as on the dipstick. Check condition of the air filter element. Inspect the ground cable for cuts, breaks, and loose connections. Inspect the fuel oil for lines, cuts, breaks, and loose connections. Open the vent into the filter head assembly. The open drain valve of the drain water until the fuel enters. Verify the black start control cable knobs are down and against casing. Check that the pulley guard screen latches are not broken and damaged. Inspect that shocks must mount for breaks and cuts and looseness. Check emergency shutoff valve. Remove the dust cap to press in continuity of the ball of the valve seat. Release. Observe the ball pops back out. If the ball does not pop back freely, electrically continue is lost and static charge is possible. The coupling must be replaced. Notice that the unit maintenance. 10. Check electrical cables for tightness and cuts and breaks on the cables. Check accessories model ground cables for current cuts and breaks on loose connections. Check accessory module battery cable for corrosion. A note that DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E, the deficiency found that it cannot be repaired by the operator. Inform the supervisor that the systems are found to be NMC. Perform both before operations preventive maintenance check services on 220 gallons per million filter separator according to the TM 10 4330 NP, TM 10 4930 NP, and TM 10-432-35114. Inspect for physical damage that might prevent the successful operation. 2. Check the bolts inlet outlet coupling. If any of the bolt and nut is loose, notify the supervisor. Check the grounding cable attachment screw with the clamp is tightly fastened. If loosened, notify the unit maintenance. Check the liquid, the fuel, the separator, unisex couples. Remove the dust cap to press continuity on the base ball of the valve seat. Release and observe the ball pops out. If it does not pop back freely, electrically continuity is lost and static charge is possible. Coupling must be replaced, notifying the unit unit maintenance. A note that the DA Form 2404 and DA Form 5988E, and any deficiency found that cannot be repaired by operative, inform the supervisor that if the system is found to be non-mission capable. Perform before operations. Preventive maintenance check services on a 350 gallon per million pump according to TM 54320 and TM 104930 and P. Check the general condition for the pump includes the missing bolts, screws, nuts, and loose hose connections, other loss and damaged fittings, components. Check the lubrication system and leaks. Check the oil level in the crankcase and oil is below normal. Check the fuel system for the leaks and the fuel is necessary, and the air cleaner, evacuator, valve, dust cap, and the filter element to check battery level, electrolyte if low and the fit over the proper level is distilled water. Check the suction strainer, remove the basket, strainer clean as necessary, inspect the back skip for damage. Check the gates for the valves of the leaks around the stems for the freedom of the operation. Exhaust system, muffler pipes, manifolds for the damage of the leaks. Ground rod assembly inspection, wire clamps for the damage, dust plugs and caps, and broken retaining chains and missing parts. Check tires for improper inflation, cuts, blisters, or leaky valve stems. Control switches from malfunctions and wire harnesses frayed, worn spots. Check the wheels, axles, frames, assembly for the broken welds and damaged loss of wood loose hardware, including lug nuts. Determine if the system is non-mission capable if the following conditions are found. Valve does not turn on or off, or leaks are present in the system. Battery is too low to crank the engine. Throttle is inoperative. Wiring is excessively frayed, worn, deteriorated. In order, the DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E. Any deficiency found cannot be repaired or operated if informed the supervisor and system as it is found in the normal mission capability. Perform before operations. The performance maintenance check services on a 350 gallon per million filter separator according to TM 543302112 TM 104930 and P. Mike visual inspection for the cracks and breaks and loose and missing bolts. Inspection to make sure that the separator has not been tampered or with or damaged. Check the site of the glass for the check of the broken glass. Make sure the separator is grounded as low as possible. Check the eliminator to make sure the tight. Note the DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E, and any deficiency that cannot be retained by the operator. Inform the supervisor if the system is to be found in the normal mission capability. Emblace startup pumps according to applicable 10 level TM. Emblace the start 550 gallon per million pump according to TM 104930 and 13 MP. Position the pump on the level ground as close as possible to the fuel source, but not less than 10 feet away. Position fire extinguishers. Connect the hose, nozzle, filter, separator. Place the slip bill containers under each of the components as a connection is made. Connect the hard hose from the fuel source to the intake port pump. Connect the soft hose of the discharge ports of the pump. Connect the filter separator set up the operation in accordance with the task. Connect the two nozzles to the end of each of the discharge and the soft of the hose. Ground pump. Drive the ground of the rod into the ground of the pump. Close the pump. Attach one of the end of the clip to the ground rod and the other end of the unpainted metal surface on the base plate. Prime the pump. Ensure the proper valves are opened by closed for the operation. Start the pump in the wrapping, starting in a quarter round of the pulling and pulling it. Embrace in place and state the 100 gallon parts per million pump. Position the pump on level ground as close as possible to the fuel source, but not less than 10 feet. Position the fire extinguishers. Connect the hose, nozzles, filter separators. Place the spill containers under each of the components as the connection is made. Connect the hard nose for the fuel source into in the port of the pump, and connect the soft hose of the discharge ports of the pump. Connect the filter separator to the system and set it up in the operation in accordance with the task. Connect the two nozzles to the end of each discharge, soft hose, and ground. Drive a rod into the ground to close. Attach one of the end of the clip to the ground rod and other the end of the unpainted metal to the surface of the base plate. Start pump. Ensure the appropriate valves are open on close at the type of the operation. Close and choke and control level. Set the throttle of the control lever to idle speed and fully clockwise position. Set engine and switch on to the on position. Wind starter rope around starter flange, pulley brisk, and on the handle of the rope to start the engine. And a starting engine set choke the control lever to the running position when the engine has warmed up sufficiently to control the running in place. To the start of the 220 GPM gun pump, the filter separating according to the critical 101 92F1501 in place, and start at 350 gallon per million pump. In place of the pump, locate assembly as possible to pumping the source no closer than 10 feet. Position it in such a way that the hose suction discharge connection is easy to make. Be sure that its life level is possible as ground soft. The place pump on the foundation of the planking logs and other suitable material. Be sure all the sides of the pump are easily accessible. Extended the trailer super legs or far as possible. Chock wheels on one of the pump is in the place, driving the ground approximately 3 to 4 feet in the ground near the pump. Ace the fuel injector valve, the fuel tank position. Disconnect the removing couple from half of the suction valve connection. The suction hose to the suction valve. Disconnect the removing couple after the discharge. Connect the discharge hose with the discharge valve. Connect the suction hose to the pumping source. Connect the discharge hose to the filter separator. Each filter separator is ready for the operation in accordance with the task. 2. Start the pump. Open the vent and ensure that all the suction valves and discharge valves are closed. Check the pump and fluid level very carefully. Opening the cam lever, lock levers, and porting the port of the cap of the raising the port slightly to see if it is discharged from the primary port. The liquid is discharged. Quickly install the primary port cap. Place the cam lock levers in the lock position. If the fluid is not charged, remove the port cap and add clean liquid to it by pumped until the liquid level reaches the top of the priming port. Failure to place the priming port cap locked circularly will result in 2 inches of streaming of liquid of high pressure, creating a severe fire hazard and flammable fluids. It is the primary port cap that place cam level that lock the levers back in lock position. Push the raised control from the detached latch, releasing the idle position of the manual operated models. For the automatic models, please press for place and pressure control manual speed control to idle. Pressure the control mode selects to start. Push the start stop switch. Push the start switch and oil pressure bypass, which substance manually upon engine starts releases the start switch. Caution: do not hold the starter switch for more than 10 seconds if the engine does not start. Release the oil pressure bypass with switch and 8 psi is exceeded on the gauge. All engine to idle approximately 2 minutes with a smooth push throttle control into the detect of the manual models. The automatic models place the selector switch of the manual. 2. Turn the throttle for the manual modes on the manual speed from control automatically. The adjusted engine speed to the approximate 2400 RPMs and indicating a gauge only indicated on the gauge. We'll open the suction valve that connected into the suction line. Slowly open the discharge valve and the connected discharge line. Observe and vent and the liquid flowing from it. Once the liquid is beginning to flow from the light closes the vent valve. As the pump begins to pump and reduce engine speed of the discharge valve, opening the preventive hydraulic shock to the system when the line is filled too fast, causing the hose to rupture and fitting failure. Note: when a pump picks up the prime, a change in the RPM will be noted. Depending on the pump, the conditions may not take so much suction immediately. It may not necessarily take the fill suction and liquid of the pump before the pump takes suction. If at a reasonable time the pump to take suction, shut down the engine and check the suction for line leaks for the repeat of A through M. Read the pump speed to the desired level. Open the automatic models. Place the model selector on automatic. Check all the control gauges for indication of malfunction. The malfunction indicated shut down pump immediately. 7. Troubleshooting performing during the preventive maintenance check service dispense of product on the pumps and filter separators according to the applicable 10 level TMs. Troubleshooting performed during operational preventive maintenance check service dispensing products using the 50 gallon per million pump according to the TM 10 493 0236 13 and P. List for the unusual noise. Check for the unusual vibration. Observe the pump constantly for leaks. Shut down the system immediately if any of the above conditions exist. Attempt to locate the problem and correct it. Clean up and report any spills immediately. And note the DA Form 2404 or the DA Form 59888. Any uncorrectable system problems, report any of the processes problems to your supervisor, or operate the nozzle to dispense products. Troubleshoot performing during operations of preventive maintenance. Check services dispense products using the 50-gallon per minute filter separator. Check the differential pressure gauge that should be in green. Checks the site gauge, water level, drain, and wall ball reaches mark. Troubleshoot performed during the operation of preventive maintenance. Check services dispensing product using the 100-gallon per minute pump. Check the pump assembly for the leaks, cracks, and loose and missing feeds to abnormal operation. For example, undue vibration, erratic operation. Check the unusual noise. Check for the clutch to disengage when the engine is into idle. Shut down immediately, and if any of the above conditions exist, attempt to locate the problem, correct it, clean up, and report any of the spills immediately. And note that the DA Form 2404 and DA Form 5988E are uncorrectably systems of the problem. Report any of the problems to your supervisors. Dispense the product. Set your throttle control lever to the maximum speed. Operate the filter separator outlined in the filter separator performance measures below. Troubleshooter performing during the preventive maintenance check service is dispensing product using the 100-gallon per million filter separator. Open the vent of the filter separator. Allow the filter separator to fill in until the product flows onto the vent tube. If pressure differential indicator button is in the up position, stop system and charging the filter elements. Observe the system for leaks. Drain the water as necessary. Shut down the system immediately if any of the conditions exist. Attempt to locate the problem, correct it, and clean up the report any spills immediately. And note the DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E, and uncorrectable system program problems. Report any of the problems for the supervisor. Troubleshoot performed during the operations of the PMCS dispensing products using 220 GPM pump. Inspecting the leaks operation may continue with the Class 1 Class 2 oil leaks. Troubleshoots performed during the operations of preventive maintenance. Check services dispense products using the 220 GPM filter separator. Drain the water from the sump of the avoiding the freezing periodically. Check for the leaks, especially for the unisex coupling vessel, and check cover inside of the gauge. Troubleshoot before during the operation of preventive maintenance. Check services dispense products using the 350-gallon per million. Troubleshoots of 350-gallon per million. Follow the steps. If the engaged fails to crank when started, the button is depressed. Check to ensure the battery has correct level of the electrolyte. Inspect the broken, damaged battery and cables for loose, corroded connections. Troubleshoot engaging if the crank butt falls in the tire and the ignition switch to see if it is on position. Check the insufficient choke carburetor. Check the fuel supply. Check the improper setting of the fuel source. Check the water or the dirt fuel bowl. Troubleshoot the engine starting with the tops. Check the insufficient fuel supply. Check the dirt for the water in the fuel bowl. Check the pull out of the choke. Check the clogged fuel lines. Troubleshoot engine in the runs and continually leave misfires. Check the water in the fuel. We'll check the clogged fuel strainer. Troubleshoot engines if it overheats. Check the oil. Check that all the air shrouding is unclogged, damaged in place. Troubleshoot the engine if it runs but lacks power. Ensure that the throttle is in correct speed position. Check all the check for dirt and incorrected grade of the oil. Check all that shrouding unclogged, undamaged in place. Trouble in the pump is fine. Fails to prime. Check the insufficient priming liquid in the pump. Check the loose connection on the suction side of the pump. During the operation, observe the pump body, fuel lines, oil line leaks. Monitor all control instruments for the damage, securing mounting, and proper operation. If any of the problems occur, immediately inform the supervisor. Stock operators attempt to correct the option, and note that the AF Form 2404 DA Form 5988E and any of the problems requiring the mechanic's attention to operating appropriate valves, nozzles to dispense product. Troubleshooting performing during operations of the preventive maintenance, servicing and dispensing product of a 350-gallon per million filter separator prior to the starting system of the pump, doing the following: opening the valves for the operation, closing the water drain, opening the gate of the valve in the side of the unit, and opening the gate of the valve on the outside of the unit, turning the system pump into as described in the task, opening an eliminator valve in the top of the unit. If app will close the valve, the fuel appears. Monitor pressure, the indicator during the operation for the two types of the separators. One type of the pressure gauge, other types has the bottom of the open, which indicates the top of the pressure. 3. The performing during the operation of the preventive maintenance check services. Check the liquid gauge of the valve for the presence of the water. Check until the leak is during the operation. Check the drain valve for the proper operation. Trouble the filter separator. Increase the pump speed and the flow eliminator shows of the fuel flow. If the pressure differential activities of the pressure gauge indicates the pressure of the too high, takes these steps. Checks the discharge for the line obstruction of the kinks. Check the filter elements to see if they require changing. If the presence of the adequate of these steps, check to see if the canister screen is coated and clogged. Check if the dirty filter elements. Check for the proper operation. Check for clogged air vent lines or valve. Check for the clogged drain line or the valve if the drain is inadequate. If any of the above occur, immediately stop operations, attempt to correct it, and eliminate the DA Form 2404 and DA Form 5988E and any problems requiring mechanic to fix. Stop the perform after operations of preventive maintenance check service according to applicable 10 level TM, stopping 50 gallon per million pump and idle pump of the 3-5 to 5 minutes, pushing on the hold ignition switch of the up position up into the until the engine stops. Close fuel shut off. Perform an after operations preventive maintenance check service of the 50 gallon per million pump according to TM 493023613 Recheck all the items before and during operations of preventive maintenance check services. Add oil, fuel as required. Clean assembly and note the DA Form 2404 and DA Form 5988E. Any maintenance deficiency requiring mechanical attention. You complete the DA Form 197 motor equipment utilization record and the DA Form 5987 motor equipment dispatch EGA forward maintenance forms to supervisor review the signature. Perform after operations of the preventive maintenance check services on the filter separators. Perform after operations of the preventive check services on the 100 gallons per million filter separator check. Close the gate valves in the outside outlets outlet sides of the filter separator. Check the site gauge for evidence of water drain as necessary. If proper, differently indicate is yellow, red, orange, or changing the filter elements. Perform operations of the preventive maintenance check services on a 350 gallon per million filter separator. Close the gate of the valves, inlet and outlet sides of the filter separator. Drain the water from the water drain valve, and if applicable, change the filter separator elements and pressure differential gauge pops up and indicates the red or yellow range depending on the type of the gauge of the system. Make sure the dust cup and plug is in place. And note the DA Form 2404 for DA Form 5988E and any position deficiency requiring mechanical attention. Completing the Form DA Form Department of Defense Form 1970, DA Form 5987E. Forward to the maintenance form to your supervisor to review the signature. Stop 100 gallon per million pump. Set the throttle control level to idle. Set the ignition switch to off. Perform after operation of the performance maintenance check services 100 gallon per million pump. Check the oil, fuel, and add necessary. Recheck on all items before and during the operations of preventive maintenance check services. Clean assembly and note the DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E. Any maintenance deficiency requiring mechanical attention. Complete the Department of Defense Form 1970, DA Form 5987E. Forward to the maintenance of the forms of the supervisor for review signature. Stop the 220 gallons per million filter separator according to the critical 101, 92F and 1501. Stop the 350 gallon per million pump. Do not shut the engine suddenly full for the speed unless the emergency exits. All engine is stabilized and idle shutdown. On models push raise throttle control to detect to set the engine and speed to idle. In automatic models, the pressure control mode switcher is to manual. Place the pressure control manner speed control to idle. After approximately 2 minutes, close the discharge of the suction valve. Push the start and stop button switch. Perform after operations of preventive maintenance check services of a 350 gallon pump, 350 gallon per million pump. Recheck all the items before and during after preventive maintenance check services. In addition, when checking the following, check the fuel oil levels added as required. If the pump is in continuous operation, check the oil levels every 10 hours. Check the oil levels every 10 hours in continuous operation of a 350 gallon per million pump. Remove the plug on the pump. Drain the Drain the water. Ambient temperature is expected to fall below 32 degrees. Drain the fuel filter. Water separate if the ambient temperature is expected to fall 32 degrees below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Clean up the pump. Note the DA form 2404, DA form 5988E, any of the maintenance deficiency requiring the mechanic. Its attention to complete the DD form, Department of Defense Form 1978 and the DA Form 5987E for forward maintenance forms. The supervisor to review the signature. See the condition standards of the MSD of the all safety equipment. Apply to the risk management procedure employed in Environmental Stewardship Protection Program. Measures according to Task 101 92F 1413. Read and understand unit installation standing operation procedure. Operating order for requesting, storing, handling, and disposition hazardous material. Go or no go. War and appropriate protective equipment is required. Go or no go. Performed before operation of the preventive maintenance check services. 50, 100, and 350 gallon per million pumps. Filters. Go or no go. Embrace the start pumps according to the applicable 10 level TMs. Go or no go. Perform troubleshooting during operation of preventive maintenance check services on the pump filters and separators according to the applicable 10 level TM. Stop pumps performed after the operation of the preventive maintenance check services according to the level 10 level TMs performed after operation to preventive maintenance check services of the filter separator. Guidance to the soldier. The soldier goes and the performance is passed. The soldier that goes on no form has failed. If the soldier goes no go, show the soldier what was done wrong and how to do it correct. DA forms 240 and 598E and FM2 and 1067 and TM's 10 and the TM 10 level. And TM 5433017 and DPAM 758 and DFM 300, FM 3 and 112 and 3 and 104. All right, moving on to performing HMTT tanker aviation refueling system operations. Given the requirement to perform the operation of the field environment, personnel and materials required to perform the task. 5 military occupational specialists, qualified soldiers, risk management procedure, a heavy extending mobility tactical truck tanker, and heavy extended mobility tactical truck. HMEMTT, the heavy extended mobility truck tanker of aviation refueling systems, fire extinguisher, spill containers, cleanup materials, personal protective equipment, appropriate material safety data sheets, hazardous material information sheets, radio facility response team, spill prevention control, countermeasures of the unit, hazardous waste and hazardous material management and policy, understanding unit standing up operating procedure, O&O written operations, EA form 3643D, daily issues of the petroleum products. DA form 404, equipment maintenance worksheet. DA form 5988, equipment inspection maintenance worksheet. EGA, the Department of Defense 1970 motor equipment utilization. DA form 5987E, motor equipment dispatch. EGA, full access reference material. Standards, perform operators preventive maintenance check services with the PMCS. Dispatch the equipment assembled to operate, perform aviation fuel quality tests prior to the servicing and serving aircraft or maintaining fuel accountability record assembled in HTRs. HTRs, which is heavy extended mobile track force tanker aviation refueling systems, without damage to the equipment, to the injury, or the personal environment. Danger: failure to perform this task correctly may result in the damage to the equipment or the injury, death to the personnel. Aviation fuel is highly flammable. No smoking. Open flames are permitted during the fueling operations. Caution before performing the task. Read and comply with the appropriate material safety data sheet. Note, it is a task involving the extensive handle of the petroleum products. Make sure that the equipment is on the handle containing of the cleaning spill. Inspect and position the equipment of the convenient access before beginning the task. Review the requirements before performing the task. Ensure that the drip pans, wasteful containers are appropriate size to contain the wasteful generated in the task. Use the drip pans in any point of the spill that are likely to occur, such as valves, nozzles. Continuous observe equipment to take their care of while performing to take the minimize the possibility that petroleum slips. If the spill occurs, immediately stop the operation. Take the steps to stop, contain and clean up the spill. Report all spills immediately to your supervisor. 1. Apply risk Management procedures. Understanding the executive risk management procedures, risk control, command and guidance directed at headquarters. Access variable higher hazards, continuous report risk and risk reductions as appropriate by the chain of the command. Employ environmental stewardship protection program measures according to task 10192F1413. Read and understand unit installation of the standard operation procedures, operating orders, requirements of requisition, storing, handling, and disposition of hazardous material. Where appropriate, the protective education, protective equipment as required. Gloves, hearing protection goggles needed to be worn in performing any of the fueling operational. Before, during, and after operation of the preventive maintenance check services on the system components according to the appropriate technical manuals and note DA Form 24004, DA Form 59888E, and any faults found in the performing of the PMCS. This dispatch of the heavy equipment maintenance tactical team or whatever. I guess that it's a really hard one. It's a 5. It was the heavy extended mobile tactical truck. Sorry, tactical trucks. I said team. Present your OF Form 346 U.S. Government Motor Vehicle Operation Identification Card. DA Form 5984 Operator's Permit Card. Record EGA to the motor pool dispatch to dispatch equipment. Obtain equipment required of the folder dispatch once he or she is verified the qualified to operate the equipment. Perform before operation of the preventive maintenance check. Contract preventive maintenance check services on the equipment and noted that the DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E, appropriately according to TM 549. 3023710 and TM 92320279110-1. Position vehicle as directed by the supervisor. Position the vehicle for the ease to the exit for the site. Do not block its exit routes. Position the vehicle on level ground. Maintain at least 25 feet between the tank of the vehicle during loading, unloading, fuel servicing operation. Choke the wheels and set the parking brakes on the vehicle. Open the manhole cover during all loading and unloading fuel service operations. Post no smoking signs. Position fire extinguishers with easy reach. Ground and bound vehicle. Drive a ground rod into the level of permanent moistures under air to keep the ground moist around the ground rod. If the soil is not conductive, keep the ground moist with a 50-50 water salt mixture. Epsom salt, copper sulfate, calcium chloride, potassium nitrate may also be used. Ground bond the vehicle. Connect one of the static cables to the ground of the ground system. Ground the plug of the H-chars. It is used to bond the system of the aircraft, the refueled assembly system. Note, the system can be configured to meet the very mission and site requirements. Lay out the system. Do not throw out the drag hoses on the ground. Do not walk on the hoses. Failure to comply with the results in the damage of the hose and connectors. Assembly the appropriate components of the system as directed by the supervisor when lying on the equipment. Never remove the dust cap until ready to make the connection, and this will prevent the particularly matter the entire system causing fuel contamination. 1. Connect each 3-inch discharge hose to files and unifax fittings will connect in the flow of handles of the flowing position. Removing the carrying strap of the 3-inch discharge hose. Roll the 3-inch discharge hose out flat straight on the ground behind the truck. Pull out the cams or arms away from the body. Connect the cam, locking the coupling and the V11 valve of the tanker. Push the cam arm against the body. Connect the T connectors to the 2-inch discharge hose elbow connectors as follows. Remove the dust cap from the center one of the T connectors. Remove the T connector at the 3-inch discharge hose. Remove the carrying strap from the 2-inch discharge hoses. Roll both the 2-inch discharge hoses out to the flat straight of the ground on the ground T connector. Remove the dust cap for the T connector on both the 2-inch discharge. Connect the 2-inch discharge hose to the T connector. Remove the dust cap to the two T connectors. Connect one of the two T connectors to each 2-inch discharge hose. Remove the carrying straps for the 4 2-inch discharge hose. Roll into the 2-inch discharge holes out flat straight out on the ground of the T connectors. Remove the dust cap and the T connectors. 2-inch discharge hose connecting both 2-inch discharge hoses and two T connectors. Connect 2 inches of discharge hose together. Remove one of the dust from each elbow connector. Connect one of the elbow connectors to each of the 2 inches discharge hose. Remove the carrying straps from the 4 to 2-inch discharge hose. Roll in 2-inch discharge hoses on the ground near the T and elbow connectors. Remove the dust cap and the T and elbow connectors. Remove the dust cap and the 2 inches discharge hoses. T. Connect a 2-inch discharge hose to the T and elbow connector. Put the flow handle in the flow position. Connect the CCR nozzle as follows. Remove the dust cap of the coupling of the CCR nozzle. To connect the CCR nozzle to the coupling as required by the repeating the steps 1 and 2 in each of the CCR nozzles. Connecting over the wing nozzle. Remove the dust cap over the wing nozzle. Remove the outlet cap of the CCR nozzle. Insert the inlet over the winning nozzle and the outlet in the CCR nozzle as required by the repeating 1, 2, 3 in each of the wing nozzles. Connecting the recirculation nozzle. Remove the dust cap of the recirculation nozzle. Remove outlet cap of the CCR nozzle. Inserted inlet recirculation nozzle as required by the repeat in section 1, steps 1, 2, 3, and for each of the recirculation nozzles. Connect the D1 nozzle. Twist the dust to the left and remove the dust cap of the D1 nozzle. Connect the coupling of the D1 nozzle. Position the fire extinguisher according to the refueling points. Camouflage trucking system operation system. Recirculate the fuel prior to the servicing of the aircraft. Connect the recirculation nozzle to the end of the last refueling point. Bring the hose back to the last refueling point of the HEMMT tanker. Move the dust cover from the 8BL receptacle. Move the dust cover for the recirculation nozzle. Connect the recirculation nozzle to the ABL receptacle. Open the V11 valve of the HEMMT tanker. Push in the V6 fuel defuel valve control rod. Pull back on the MC manual control EM valve lever. Push the pump in management lever forward. Push the TC throttle control switch to on position. Press the HI or high idle switch. Pull out the HAV hand actuated control. Move the recirculation adapter lever on the opposite position. Note that the AVH hand actuated control valve must be opened for fuel to flow. Squeeze and hold the HAV hand actuated control valve lever to the recirculated fuel. When the recirculation complete is released on the HAV hand actuated control valve lever. The more recirculation adapter valve lever is close to the opposition. Closes V11 valve of the HEMMT tanker and set the TC throttle control switch down to the off position and disconnect and recirculation adapter for the ABL receptacle. Replace the dust cap on the ABL receptacle. Replace the dust cap on the recirculation adapter. Pull back on the pump engagement lever until the locked and MS handle control EM lever forward. Return the hose to the refueling point. Remove the store recirculation adapter. Repeat the steps for the other side. Perform the Millipore Aqua Glow test according to the TM5 well 6630-1810. Operating system is a directed support. Place HEMMT the fuel pumps in order into operation according to task 10292 F1414. Guide aircraft in position using the proper hand-arm signal FM 1067-1. Chapter 2. Check the pilots to be sure that all armaments are on the safe to play. Hand of the crew passenger. Passenger must go on the designation marshal area. The members of the crew except the pilot or the co-pilot may remain on the controls necessary should the deplane the assistant the refueling of the man fire extinguisher. Carry the fire extinguisher onto the aircraft is in which each of the aircraft fill the port. Pull the split container in place. Ensure the pilot notifies his or her commander he or she will off be during the refueling connection to HERS ground pump aircraft. The ground plug must be connected before the action attaching the nozzle to the aircraft. Failure to comply can result in injury, death to personnel from static discharge. Open the wipe around the aircraft till fill the port of the clean cloth to remove the dust or dirt. Remove the dust cap from the nozzle. Connect the nozzle being used as follows. Grasp the handle grips and align with the inlet with the Fuel receptacles. Press the nozzle against the full receptacle and turn it aligning the pins. Turn the nozzle clockwise until it stops and pull the flow handle to the flow position. Warning, do not leave the nozzle at any time during the refueling. Stop the flow of the fuel if there is an emergency at the refueling point. When the tank is fuel, close the flow handle. Turn the nozzle counterclockwise to remove the aircraft receptacle. Install the dust cap. Place the nozzle in the container. Install the fuel cup on the aircraft receptacle. Wipe the exterior recirculation nozzle aircraft receptacle within the clean cloth to remove the dust from the fuel. Unplug the nozzle binding of the plug and the release of the bonding clip. Carry the nozzle back to the hangar. Don't lay it in the or drag it across the ground. Release the ground cable from the aircraft. Take the ground cable clip from the aircraft. Take the extinguisher back to the position near nozzle hanger. Required, issue the DA Form 3643 according to DA PAM 710-21, having air crew and passengers reboard to turn off the pump of the HEMMT tanker, and no other aircraft is refueled after receiving the clearance. Guided aircraft to lift off. Once the aircraft has departed, immediately can any spills reported to the supervisors. Dispose of waste fuel, contaminated material, environmental safe manner according to the local policy procedures. Shut down the system. Shut down the HEMTT according to the test 10192F1414. Drain assembly store system. Don't throw away hoses. Don't throw or drag hoses on the ground. Do not walk on the hose or flatten them into the drain flow. The handles must be closed and disconnect components. Operating the EHMMT tanker to evacuate the fuel hoses. Open the flow handles. Pull down the fuel defuel valve. HEMTT. Engage the PTO on the HEMTT. Squeeze the HAVE valve and the HEMTT and engage the the high, idle, and throttle control on the HEMTT until the hose is drained, and disengage the high, idle, and throttle control of the HEMTT. Release the HAV valve on the HEMTT. Disengage the PTO on the HEMTT. Push fuel and to defuel the HEMTT. Close the flow and handles. Disconnect the 2-inch discharge hoses and elbow connectors as follows. Close the flow handles. Pull the interlocking pins. Disconnect the 2-inch discharge hoses from the elbow connectors. Install the dust cap on the 2-inch discharge hoses. Install the dust cap on the electrical connector and pull the interlocking pin with disconnecting elbow connectors for the 2-inch discharge hose. Install the dust cap on the elbow connector. Repeat steps 1 through 7 through 2-inch discharge hoses and elbow connectors. Connect 2-inch discharge hoses and T connectors as follows. Close the flow handle. Disconnect the 2-inch discharge hose with the T connector. Install the dust cap on the 2-inch discharge hose. Install the dust cap on the T connector. Repeat steps 1 through 4 and for other 2-inch discharge hoses and T connectors. Disconnect the 2 E connectors from 3-inch discharge hoses as follows. Close the flow handles. Disconnect the T connector from the 3-inch discharge hose. Install the dust cap on the 3-inch discharge hose. Install the dust cap on the T connector. Disconnect the 3-inch discharge hoses. Disconnect the 3-inch discharge hose as follows. Pull off the cam arms away from the body side and off the cam, locking coupling onto the tanker. Push the cam's arms against the body. 6. Roll the discharge hoses in the tight coil. Secure them in a carrying strap. Wipe the equipment and a cloth to remove the dirt and dust and moisture, fuel, and store equipment in the storage box and tanker. Disassemble the store system components. Disassemble the store camouflage equipment. Complete DA Form 3643 and DA Form 2404 and DA Form 5988E and turn in to the supervisor. Evaluation preparation. See the task as standards. Apply risk management procedures. Employ environmental stewardship and protection program measurement according to task 10192F1413. Read understand unit installation standard operation orders requirement requisition handles or disposition or hazardous material. Where appropriate protective equipment is required, perform before, during, and after operations of the preventive checking safety services on the system components according to TH 54930237010 and TM 92320279110 and 1. Note DA Form 2404, DA Form 5988E, and any faults found where the performing the PMCS. The dispatch HEMTT tanker position vehicle assembled and recirculated fuel prior to the servicing act and performed millipore and aqua glowing tests according to TM 56630 21810. Operating system is directed by the supervisor. Shutdown and systems is directed in supervisor. Disassembled and stored system components. Disassembled and stored camouflage of equipment. Completed DA Form 364 and DA Form 2404, DA Form 598E, and turned into the supervisor. Evaluation. The score soldier is the performance measure that it passed, and the score soldier no-go, and the performance measured. If the soldier scores a no-go, should the soldier was doing wrong, and how to do to correct it. The DA Forms 2404, 3643, 5984E, 59847, 59888E, 59888E. DOD Form 1970, FM Form 1067-1, FM Form 30411-1, OF Form 346, and TM 5s 493Es 23710 and 6321810, TM 92322791, 1, DPAM 710-2, and FM 3112 and FM 3100. Now on to Subject 3. Class 3 operations. I wonder how large this page is. I believe we start a new chapter soon. Subject area 3. All right, we're gonna take a break here, and I'm gonna put, and that was that.